I tell you, Heather, it's good to be back.
It is. It is. I missed it.
Quite a break.
Yeah.
All my bad.
No.
You're right. No, listeners, we didn't mean to take quite as long of a break. Thanks for sticking with us. Apologies for that. We had some travel drama, as which happens, and
Mm-hmm.
you'd think we'd figure out the travel drama by now, but travel drama was mine, so we had to push back recording a little bit. But we're back, baby. We're back to our new weekly
Yeah.
schedule.
Mercury
Our
was in
weekly schedule.
retrograde, I think, for a
Bitch, I
chunk
hear
of that
that.
time. So blame it on
Respectfully,
that.
bitch. Bitch, I hear that.
Yeah.
Retrograde she did.
She
I
did.
felt it this time. And so did the earth. Literally, there was like a small earthquake in Queens.
That's scary
It
because does
is.
that happen in New York very often?
Oh, so apparently, so because of this, when I like heard about this and looked into it, apparently, technically the whole earth is tectonic plates. Some are more active and bigger, um, and like just bigger fault lines. And I don't know. As I understand it now, the whole goddamn thing is a tectonic plate, and I probably should have already known that. But you just have areas where it's a little more aggressive, and the quakes are a little bigger, and the shake it's just felt differently, right? So it's like when you live in a place like LA, for example, Heather, knock on real wood here,
I
uh,
know.
where earthquakes are more common and bigger earthquakes are more common. However, being in America as we are, we're very lucky and privileged that and fortunate that we have a lot of earthquake building codes. A lot of infrastructure is built because we do know now that this city is on an active fault line. So, like, a lot of LA stuff is, like, for example, I might have said this on the podcast before, but like buildings in downtown LA, a lot of the big skyscrapers down there are actually on like massive wheels, so,
Right.
in case of a massive earthquake, what happens with buildings, why they come tumbling down, is because they have no give. The idea is that, like, if a really massive earthquake hits, the building will sort of roll with it to preserve. It's like shit like that. Really weird.
Yeah. No.
Any hoozy. Right. Like, there's a bunch of weird little shit like that.
Yeah.
Scary thing about New York is that even if it's a small, like books fell, it was like a 1.6.
Holy
But
shit.
this city is not, the infrastructure is not designed for a big one to hit. So like there were so many mean people on TikTok being like, "Oh my god, I'm in California. A 1.6 you can't even feel. That's like a bus driving by." And it's like, yeah, but like when you don't feel them and you're in a city where you're not supposed to, it's not common to
Yeah.
feel them.
Yeah.
That is scary. And the global warming's flowers are blooming in the North Pole or in Antarctica. What did they talk about? The flowers are blooming in Antarctica. Did you hear about
Really?
this? In the
No.
Arctic, the flowers are blooming in the Arctic, in Antarctica. There's like a quote about, let me look this up, about
Yeah.
flowers blooming. I think it's Antarctica. Jesus Christ.
So, yeah, what
Which is
is
really happening right now. And it's not a good thing because things aren't supposed to bloom there. Let me make sure it's Antarctica.
oh
But that's
boy.
like basically they're talking. Yeah, it is Antarctica. Flowers are starting to spread in Antarctica. And experts say that's not a good thing because they're talking about global warming's kind of, we've been at a weird, like, if we tip, where we were right in the middle for a long time with global warming. They say of like if we can slow it down and get it to like not tip any further and get it to start coming back by just like giving a shit about it, yada yada.
Right, right.
But it's like apparently we've tipped over and
Ugh.
like now it's kind of like there's maybe no hope. Like we really are gonna, this isn't how you open the podcast. And everyone should check my sources. Nobody listen to me, but maybe everyone read up on it. I don't think we're talking about this
Yeah,
enough.
I mean,
Flowers are
yeah.
blooming in Antarctica, people.
That's weird. Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh
My whole point to
God.
this was, what was my whole point to this?
That Pluto's entering Aquarius and the world is changing and we need to
Thank God you saved that, Heather.
we need to focus and
We got to get our shit together.
yeah.
Earthquakes should not be happening where I am. Like that is
Yeah.
so scary. Um, and yeah. And then they were like, the East Coast is sinking, by the way.
Oh my god. Like the
Like
fucking
it's
Fab building at FSU.
drastically,
Our
literally.
theater building sinking into the whenever
That
I
was
think
all
about
we,
that.
that's why we couldn't use the spin stage or like the
Right.
turning table of the
Which
stage a
would have been
lot.
so cool. Didn't we do like ragtime and musicals that like would have used it? Yeah.
I feel like they did maybe use it at one point, but it was like, like it was so bad because the building
Carousel of
has
progress.
shifted so much. Yeah. I want to say that did happen. That's really funny. Anyways, and with that,
Oh
astrology is
no.
still important now more than ever.
Now more than ever. I really think so. Oh
They're
boy.
like Gen Z and the millennials don't want to work. Can you blame us?
Yeah.
They just said global warming won.
Oh god.
I'm just kidding. Well, I don't know if I'm actually kidding, but everyone should read some books and articles and correct me if I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong. Anywho,
I
Heather,
know. Here I'm like, the age of Aquarius, Pluto entering Aquarius. We're going to come back to valuing humanity and the real human stuff, but maybe the world's just going to collapse and we're all going to be AI robots floating in the air.
and more power to us, I say. Uh yeah,
Yeah.
it's a wild time. There's a lot. We've talked about this for a long time on the podcast. Age of Aquarius does just feel like such a an awakening. And I do think a lot of time, like anything, like the elements, like Earth, like Mother Nature herself, right? There's elements of scary, dark, what we could maybe deem as bad. Um, and also moments of like beauty and good. And, it's a cycle. And I do feel like, wow, Age of Aquarius, excuse me, will be a beautiful awakening. Unfortunately not unfortunately, I do embrace that there will be some
Challenges and
shakeups.
struggles.
Like,
Yeah.
I know we're talking about earthquakes, but I think, in a way, like some big shakeups, some big drastic sort of things that have to shake up in order to get to a more level
Yeah.
place,
No,
which I
it's
think
how
we
it
are heading to
goes.
and want to head to. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's how it goes. Not to try to sound negative or like to scare any of the listeners
No, no.
ourselves, but it is just that's how most awakenings work, right? It's quite a
Yeah.
shakeup before
Mm-hmm.
it all settles.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
understand that.
there's a lot on the horizon. There just does like it feels like there is an up leveling and an energy in the air of a
Mhm.
lot of us getting on the same page spiritually and on like a just human to human level. It's a
Mhm.
really, and that's kind of, we've talked about that's sort of what Age of Aquarius represents. It's really
Yeah.
beautiful. The
Yeah.
community and the collective coming together
Yeah. Totally.
before the big Pisces age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, do you, because after the age of Aquarius, it's going to be the age of Capricorn, right? Yeah.
I thought we already were in the age of Capricorn.
So the ages go
Oh no, I'm
backwards. It's
sorry. That's
super
right.
fucking
We've been in
confusing, but
Pisces.
Pluto will be in Pisces after Aquarius. Pluto
That's right.
moves in order, but the ages go backwards for some reason.
That's right. My apologies. My bad.
I was listening to this podcast recently that this guy who was like an expert in like religion and theology but also astrology was talking about how like so like the age of Pisces kind of started with like Jesus time,
Mm-hmm.
like Jesus coming
Literally.
into the whole yeah. So like from when Jesus came into existence to like now is like the age of Pisces, and then
Right.
before that oh fuck, I'm already forgetting, but like it was super interesting. It was like before the age of Pisces was the age of Aries, which was like what was before I don't know. Like so maybe that's when like the meteor hit and the dinosaurs and like now I regret even bringing this up because I don't remember the details. But it was
That
like
is so funny
super.
that you say that though, Heather, because real quick, while I was home for like the holidays and hanging, I was watching some like animal something not Animal Planet, maybe it was that, something about the dinosaurs and just sort of like what, the theory of just, how old Earth is,
It's
and
crazy.
how like if they put like Earth's entire timeline into a clock, obviously humans are the most recent, hour on there, but we would only like come out to like not even minutes, like a couple
Yeah.
seconds. That's how like it's sort of that's such a beautiful thing to it's such a beautiful reminder. Just want to point out real quick that it's like we are guests here in this experience. And like, yes, the dinosaurs roamed before we did. And then Earth has had her own cycles. And
Yeah.
humans, I
Long before
think,
us.
we're killing her. Like, say what you will about, yes, Earth has her own cycles, but they've definitely proven enough that humans are speeding up that process. And I do think it's something that like our generation is starting to pay more attention to, of humans are we are this is not our right, this is not we are not entitled to Earth, we are guests here, like this is we are visiting. An asteroid could take us out and she'll still be here, Mother Earth will still be here even if the human race doesn't survive.
Yeah.
So it's like it really, I think it is a beautiful thing, and that is such a also spiritual movement. Sorry, you just talked about the dinosaurs and it made me think about,
No, I
I
love
thought about this
this.
while I was
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
To me, that is like the fact that our generation is starting to give more of a shit about the
Mhm.
future of our planet and understand that it's our future and our planet that we won't have if we don't make changes with it. Like, that in itself to me is so spiritual, to be on the same page of like Earth is something to take care of and to treat with respect, not something
Mhm.
we are entitled to destroy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No,
don't know. Just that in
absolutely.
itself, like I think that's gonna unify I don't know. Our generation just
Mhm.
does have a lot to, every generation has their shit, right?
Yeah.
There are things to unify together and fight for, but it is so amazing how much our generation and spirituality is making a comeback. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
re-entering humanity.
I think
Sorry,
so. No, I
didn't mean to tangent
agree.
away
I
from that.
agree. I'm cautiously optimistic. But yeah. Also, the Jupiter moving through Taurus this year, people are saying in the astrology community that, like, especially when Jupiter and Uranus come together in Taurus in April, which only happens every like 14 years, because Taurus is an earth sign and it has so much to do with like sustainability and stability and like follow through and
Right.
simplifying things to like bring stability. Um, that could, the Jupiter Uranus thing this year could bring breakthroughs when it comes to like building a more sustainable um life with Earth as the focus, and taking care of the planet.
I love that. We
Yeah,
got to.
we got to.
And I think it is such I was home in Florida. I spent a lot of time outside with my family's dog. And
Oh,
even just being outside in nature, which like this is why you get out and you go to those parks. In this when you're in the city. But like just like I heard a woodpecker
oh,
and I like stopped what I was doing and I got real quiet. And I like got under the tree to like find it. And I was just like, I don't know if I've ever watched a woodpecker backwood.
oh,
And I
that's
was
so
just like,
nice.
God, nature's beautiful. And then like
Oh,
I saw a hawk. We have a hawk in our one of our trees in our yard. And I was just like seeing as so much nature. I saw an otter on my walk, which I've never seen in my life in my neighborhood.
oh my
Um,
God, that's so
which when I
cool.
did Google was a sign of a healthy ecosystem. So that was like a nice sign.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, it was really like I had a lot of really funny nature moments while I was home and spent a lot of extra time outside. And it was Florida, so it's really warm.
Oh,
Um, and I really took advantage of that. And I feel like I have like a dose of vitamin D like in my pocket right now for a little bit. Like it's getting me by
yeah.
in the winter in New York, but
Oh,
it's really
nice.
cold and it's a lot harder to want to be outside, of course. Um,
Yeah.
I try to embrace it. But yeah, I do think even just like the way now with when the way we honor our dead, it's becoming more common to like plant trees when somebody dies in their memory than to like we've learned that graveyards, for example, um, are not the healthiest. Cemeteries are not great for the planet. They take up
That's
so
never
much
made
space.
sense to me also. Why would you want your decaying body in like in a casket that costs your family so much money.
Oh my God,
Anyway,
the price of the caskets. Don't
like
get me started.
it's so
Right.
ridiculous. Like
But
you're gonna
truly
make me
just
all pretty and put makeup on me and put me in an expensive casket. I'm dead. Like yes,
like
please plant a
literally
tree.
nobody look at me when I'm dead.
Yeah.
Nobody look at my decaying body. Close your
I don't
eyes.
want that at all. Don't put makeup on me. I'm
Ew.
dead. Finally, I don't need
Ew.
makeup once and for all.
You ever been to an open viewing funeral? Ew.
I hate
Like
it.
that's
I
not how you want to
actually
remember the
like
person.
don't, yeah, I don't do that shit. Like I
I've
don't
done it
look at the
once,
casket.
never again.
Yeah.
No thanks. Don't know why I did it. Worse than any horror movie I've ever seen. Jesus Christ. That is not how I want to be remembered. God help me. No.
No, I'm with you.
Anyway, burn me to a crisp. Put my
Yeah.
ashes in the sea where I belong.
Yeah, yeah.
Plant 100 million trees in my memories.
They should do it based on your astrology. Like for Pisces, put you in
You
the
should go in the
ocean.
water. That's why I thought
For
about
Aquarius, turn me into AI. No, I'm
that.
kidding. I don't want that at all. Put me in the theater. Um
Under
or
everyone's
in
seats.
space. I want to go to space.
Oh yeah, space would be cool. But yeah, I just I'm proud of us and our generation,
Yeah.
and I I think everyone's kind of at a place of like we gotta do something on so many levels.
I know. And
And
it's
so
our
much of it
response.
is
It's like our
humanity.
generation's
Yeah,
responsibility, it feels like, because we're the
yeah,
ones who are aware
it's
and
gonna be
rising
ours.
up
Yeah,
into power, especially
yeah,
these next few
absolutely.
decades. Yeah.
Heather, it's just so good to be back. And again, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, I know we're podcast deep here into the intro. We're podcast deep into the intro. What am I trying to say? But Heather Cunningham, folks, 2024, baby, we're back. Capricorn season, we're here, we're doing it.
Mhm.
And me, Miranda Linsky, we missed you all so much. Um, Before we get into the chart, Heather, too, though, is there anything more you want to say specifically about Cap? I know we'll get
About
more into like
Cap.
the movement of the planets currently,
You
but
know, I think I talked about it last time, but I've really been thinking a lot about the fact that Capricorn has this theme with time and how I think I said like the myth has a lot to do with Saturn, which or yeah, Capricorn's ruling planet is Saturn, but there's a mythological character in Greek myth called Kronos, which is a symbol of time. And I don't know, just the fact that we're in our Saturn returns and I've been thinking a lot about how like I mean Capricorn's about really putting the work in and taking responsibility for the work and like accountability for yourself and what you want to achieve and putting the time into it. But I think there's also something kind of beautiful about Capricorn in that, like, I don't know, sometimes you're not going to get the big achievement until the time is ripe for it or until you're
mhm.
ready, and sometimes like I don't know, just simple things can like lead to that. And
I hear that.
yeah.
Well, and we talked about this too, Heather, if I may. A lot of people have been talking about this more recently, which has been really fun for me, a Pisces, to be seeing more people sort of talking about. And that is that, again, you want to talk about nature and we want to talk about honoring it and how humans are guests here and we are a part of that cycle, not like a in control of it by any means. Um, and uh B, not above it. And I
Right.
think like there is so much proof, right? We've talked about this so many times with our man-made calendar about how the alignment isn't always it's just interesting how the alignment of our calendar sort of plays out. A lot of it where the months are placed has to do with like holiday like the pagan holiday, for example, and like
Mm-hmm.
being Christmas and sort of the end of the new year. So like certain like holidays, political stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of weird influences to the man-made calendar in a way that it's like we're in winter right now. And people on TikTok, for example, in the spiritual witch talk world of it all, we're talking about how like this is winter is a time of rest. Like nature is resting. And there's a lot
Yeah,
of pressure to like make goals and start the new
I
year
know, but
strong
that's like
when
not
you're in the
quite.
dead of winter,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Doesn't make
And
sense.
then right. And then astrologically, we've always talked about, well, and then the Chinese New Year is always
Yeah.
after the winter solstice. And like we've talked about this before in astrology, like the astrological calendar starts with Aries, with the birth of Aries, which is not till late March. I selfishly have always said my new year is my birthday. Like that's my personal new
Yes.
year to me.
And when
And
your solar return chart starts, there's an
yep,
argument in astrology to be had about, yeah, that is like your personal new year.
that's right. And it's like I think anytime of the year for like anyone's birthday, that's like a personal new year. And that I was seeing a lot of people on TikTok talk about that, which was really exciting and fun to hear more because I've always kind of I've felt that way for a while, especially since getting into astrology. It's not that I'm trying to be like lazy about my 2024, and I do start it's Capricorn season, so I love thinking about the long term. But a
Yeah,
lot of
regardless,
Capricorn,
Capricorn is good for that. But
and it's in the dead of winter when you live in a place where it's winter, like this is a time for rest. I think it's a great time to soft launch goals and like get like clear on what it is that you want. But I am selfishly someone who is like a March New Year's person because it's my birthday.
mhm.
But I was just seeing so many more people talk about how spring is like more of the awakening and the time to really go forth with your goals and not beat yourself up if you don't have the literal energy to like start all these gung ho goals
Mhm.
right in the middle of winter when
Mhm.
everything is resting.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's natural and common in our human existence, and especially when we have to work, right? We got to put money on the table somehow. So like unfortunately our society makes it really difficult a lot to rest during winter or like, you
Yeah.
know, but that was I've again, we've talked about this on the podcast, Heather. I've talked about it with you personally, like being from a place without seasons and then living in California that doesn't have massive seasons and to now be in a place with seasons, like it's like out of my control how much it affects me. Like
Mhm.
the human condition I think is so inherently connected to nature.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
really special to be reminded of how much of the astrological calendar lines up with nature. That's not
Yeah.
this man-made thing. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Just a
yeah.
fun little anecdote I wanted to point out.
Yeah, it's interesting too that Capricorn deals a lot with like discipline and saving for the future, like understanding that like if you cut back now, you're not going to experience that quick reward, but you'll be rewarded
Right.
later on with time. And the winter gives that feeling of like, I don't know, eat your canned food or like stay home and like catch up, before the like I don't know.
Right. And
Um
it's like I think I used to be a lot more harder on myself about that like I didn't like set New Year's goals or I'm not following through on them. And it's been nice to live in a place where it's like that's sort of the energy though right now. And
yeah,
like your
totally.
birthday's in March anyways, so
Yeah.
give it a
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah.
Um, but I love that. And I love that our generation's embracing that more, it feels
Me
like.
too.
Um, I just loved how much I saw that around the new year.
Let's
Um,
petition to change the calendar to match
God,
astrology.
I would love that. Then
No, there's
Christmas
more
would be on
important
my
things
birthday.
to
No.
worry about, honestly. Maybe
I'm
one
like,
day.
screw this global warming
Yeah,
business.
let's all. No.
That's amazing. Heather, I'm just so happy to be back.
Me too.
Um,
I need
Capricorn is
this.
alive with the fresh restart
Yes.
and the positive futuristic energy that we love. Um, yeah. And with that, shall we move on to this? I'm so excited for this
Yeah,
birth
I
chart.
am too.
Let's get at it, shall we?
Let's.
As the Capricorns say, let's get
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
Oh, I am excited, Heather. I've been wanting to do this chart for a minute.
Me too.
But before we get into it, folks, we do have a little bit of a corrections corner. Not a corrections corner, just we want to be fully transparent.
Yeah.
Heather brought up a book recently. What's the name of the book, Heather?
The 12 Principles of Life by Jordan Peterson, who I only heard talk on a podcast called Diary of a CEO. And it's not, a political podcast or anything, but apparently this is a very political dude and a very Republican dude. And I only found out very recently.
Yeah, so we just want to clear the air.
Yeah.
And shouts out to Mike Fly. Uh, our buddy Mike Fly, a Capricorn, and his birthday is coming up this
Oh,
week. So happy birthday, Mike, and thank you, God bless, for the heads up, because Mike knows this person's social presence, which we did not.
I
Heather did
have
not.
no idea.
Turns out, yeah, they're very alt right in a way. We just want to be clear, we're not, and like
Yeah,
very surprising to Heather to learn.
not my identity.
And,
Uh,
and the only reason we're bringing it up too is just because Mike was curious if it was just so funny because Mike was like, I've never met Mike and Heather. I've never met. Mike is a friend of mine here in New York. So I think he was more just like, is your friend, like about that?
my
Just out of
God.
curiosity, or does she just not know about this guy? And I'm like,
I'm just a
definitely second.
dumbass.
No, you're not. It is just really funny though.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, and like you said, that's just funny how you found out about them, and then that's just not kind of there. I don't know.
Yeah. Like even on the back of the book, it's like the most prominent psychologist in our culture or whatever. Like there's
Yeah,
nothing
damn, what
about
a bummer.
yeah, like damn, maybe I should try. I don't know.
No, it's just funny, and I
Yeah.
wanted to give a shout out to Mike because that was really funny, and also thank Mike for listening.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
he was just like, yeah, I was casually listening to the most recent episode. I'm like, oh my god, what a G, what a supporter of the pod. We love you, Mike. Thank
Ah, love
you.
it.
Happy Capricorn season to you, my friend. Um, and with that, Heather, me and the listeners forgive you. Just kidding. There's nothing
Thank
to
you.
forgive.
I
Uh,
appreciate that.
um, and with that, shall we get into our Capricorn of the episode today?
Yes, a
What
very special Capricorn. I'm
this
pulling up the
Capricorn
chart
has
now.
been taking TikTok by storm. The one and only, the legendary Blue Ivy Carter. Um, Truly so fun to learn that she is a Capricorn. I think this is maybe the youngest person we've ever done. I want to say Jacob Sartorius was like the youngest one before Blue Ivy. Um,
Oh
Maybe Olivia
yeah, right.
Rodrigo, but yeah, Blue Ivy is definitely, she's 11. She is literally like 10 or 11. And no, I definitely 11 because it just says here she's born in 2012. And Blue Ivy has been all over my TikTok feed because, and I'm happy to say I saw her live. I went to Beyonce's concert over the summer, the Renaissance tour, and Blue Ivy came out during a portion of one of the songs, and it
So
was so amazing.
awesome. Is that movie still in theaters? I need to see that ASAP.
I'm not sure if it's still in theaters,
It's
but
probably not.
I do
Anyway,
highly recommend people watching it. It's so
yes.
fun when Beyonce lets us in it, and it feels rare that she lets us sort of like behind the screen. I love that we get to see the like
Inside the Scorpio moon.
the rehearsal process, and just like, all the work she puts in. She is such a dedicated worker. Like that is something that, like, yes, Beyonce is talented. Yes, she's a triple threat, one of the greatest performers of all time, one of the greatest artists of all time, but she also fucking works. Like that is so her brand. That is so what I do really feel like is her, the work she puts in and her work ethic. So I was, watching a lot of these, what was getting really popular on TikTok, especially when Beyonce's movie came out. They talk about Blue Ivy, and Beyonce at first was like, no, like a stadium tour is not appropriate for my 10-year-old daughter, or whatever. And she just felt like, I don't know if that's,
Yeah.
and then but Blue begged and worked really hard and then came out and did it. And it turns out she went on TikTok and saw some like mean criticism of herself, and like Blue Ivy did. And when Blue Ivy saw that, instead of like what I would do, which is crumble and hide,
Yeah.
she said, all right, I'm going to get back in the studio and practice. And a lot of what went viral on TikTok, especially when Renaissance, the movie, came out, was the like side by side comparison of Blue Ivy's first time on stage and her last. Oh my God, holy shit, the difference, the work, like
What
the
a
work ethic.
Capricorn Leo rising.
Then we
Oh my
find out she's Cap
goodness.
as fuck. And yep, so she is thank you, Heather, a Capricorn sun, Cancer moon, Leo rising. And holy shit, it shows even at her young age. And at first I was like, yeah, that's Beyonce's kid. She's probably, she's used to seeing work ethic. But
But your story, the fact that she like that is so
isn't
fucking
that really
Capricorn
powerful
Leo
for her
to as a
age?
child to be
Yeah,
like, no, I want
that's
to
not
do
going to
this.
stop me.
I'll
That she's
work
going to make
for
me get
it.
better.
Like, yeah,
She's like, all right, I'll
my
do this till
competitive
I don't have
ass.
anything to say. Yeah. Instead of, it was not something that, and it's really cute because there's a precious moment of Beyonce's father talking about that and how hard Blue Ivy worked, and how she was waking up early in the morning and getting to the studio every day over the summer when she wasn't in school to rehearse and like took it really seriously. And he was like, that's a Knowles right there.
Right.
And like
Oh,
that was really precious because like
I love it.
obviously, yeah, that's gonna probably run in their family, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
she's definitely so Cap.
And in the sixth house, Virgo's house of work is where the
Mm-hmm.
Capricorn sun is. Yeah, this is such a cool chart. It is so spread out.
I
Um,
know.
and the fact
I'm
that the
so excited what
moon's,
how she's gonna like grow and what we're gonna see out of
yeah,
Blue. I think she's
I
gonna be a natural
know.
born performer.
Yeah,
Especially
totally.
with like the blessing and the support of her parents, of course, but also her chart and her and already her proven work ethic. And now she got a little taste of a
Yeah.
stadium tour of a whole crowd screaming her name
God, I'm
and
jealous.
rooting her on. Yeah, like she got a taste of it, baby. I can just see this launching her forward. It's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Also the fact that her moon is in Cancer and it's right on the edge between the 11th and the 12th house. And because the moon moves so fast, I'm almost like, I want to say that it's in the 12th, even though I guess technically it's like the last degree of the 11th. But regardless, the Cancer moon in such a public house and the moon representing the mother and Cancer representing the mother. And the 12th house is often associated with like inheritance from your ancestors and your parents and stuff. That is so
Mhm.
fucking cool. And the Leo rising, and Beyonce has Leo rising, and like to be such a comfortable performer to like want to go on a stage with a gazillion people in the audience. Um,
Yeah.
so Leo rising. Uh Mars in Virgo, Beyonce's a Virgo. Yeah, this is a hardworking chart. Um,
And what's really special too, and like because they show they they talk about Jay-Z's in the film a little bit, and he's talking about seeing Blue perform, and he's like, I know she's nervous because she's my daughter,
yeah.
and that horrifies me. And like Beyonce even talks about this too. The first time she came on stage, she was like, it's one thing for me to be out there on that stage, but it's another thing for my daughter to be out there. And now it's like my like knowing how nervous she was made me erect. She said the moment she got out there, all I could think was, what have I done? Why did I say yes to this? And then Blue even proved herself like to her mom, like, and she was like, but then seeing her like do her thing and get more comfortable in the work she put in and really wanted like her spot. I don't know. It was just really, it was special to see Jay-Z and Beyonce talk about it too. It's not like this didn't scare her and she still did it. Like it's like
Yeah. Oh, it's so
the
Leo, the
fear didn't let
courage.
her, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the fear drove her, not deterred her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, just want to add that too.
Oh,
She
I love
definitely
that.
talks about being nervous and like they talk about her being like it's not like she just like
Right.
effortlessly took to the stadium. She's like
Yeah.
a little baby and like
Yeah.
there's like 80,000 screaming fans who are there to see your mom and then are so excited when you come out and like our stadium freaked. It was awesome that Blue came out. I was hoping she
Yeah.
would. But anyway, sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Wow. There's also something interesting here with Jupiter in the 10th house in Taurus, and it's the planet right at the top of the chart. And Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion, and being there in the 10th house of career is sort of like, well, yeah, duh. Like
Right.
so, so lucky career wise already.
Right.
Um, and just like, publicly, it's the house of your public reputation also. But then that's in opposition to Saturn in the fourth house of family, and Saturn being there, which is the planet of restriction, but also discipline. And also, they say Saturn often points to where you build a career or bring something tangible to the world, because
Mm,
Saturn is Capricorn's planet. So there's like this axis with family and career and like luck, but also discipline and restriction. That's really interesting. Um,
interesting.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. And especially like they talk like I think Blue Ivy has an understanding that she's naturally going to get hated on because of who her parents are. Because like she's already entered a world where we are no longer sort of just praising nepo babies, we're giving them a hard time.
Yeah, yeah.
And Beyonce and Jay-Z had I think obviously have talks with her about that and what that means. And the part that she comes out onto, not to continue to talk about this,
No,
but
I
the
want
part
to know because I haven't seen it. Does she dance? And yeah, I want to know what song she comes out on.
it's the My Power, which like I believe was attached to, is it Lion King?
Oh, okay. Yeah, because she was in that, right?
Beyonce, I can't remember if Power is from that or not. I'm gonna relook it up. Um, I feel like it came out more recently for that and not for Lion King. What the fuck am I thinking of? She definitely made music for Lion King. I'm not making that up. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but regardless, I know it was for a movie. Let me just double
My
check.
Power. Um, from yeah, The Lion King.
The Lion King. Okay, my bad. And my good. But it's so in like the Blue Ivy's in that music video. So the music video that Beyonce does for that song has
Oh,
Blue Ivy, and she does a little bit of the choreography, and like so that's like
cute.
cute. And then when she comes out, she like rises, and it's the line is, um, "That's my bloodline on the front lines, ready for war." And the line's a little faster, but Beyonce has this moment of like, "That's my bloodline," and then it's like a pause, and it's like Blue's just standing there, and everyone's like, and then it's like on the front line, and this comes after like this scene comes after right after Beyonce's like talking about the shit Blue Ivy was getting online and the shit she's just always sort of going like kind
Yeah.
of get throughout her life for something she can't control. And it was a real,
Yeah.
so it's also a really powerful, like mom and daughter, like Beyonce dances with her too,
Right.
um, for like a part of it. And that's like what she said. It's like, that's my bloodline on the front line, ready for war. Cause like in a proud way, like it's very like what Blue, working hard to
Yeah.
get better. And then she's like, go Blue. And then they dance. And like, it's so empowering. And I get chills just talking about it. And I've rewatched it a million bajillion times, that
That
scene
sounds
alone.
iconic.
Cause I
Yeah.
love, and like the way Beyonce's just like looking at Blue with so much love and pride. It's really special. I highly recommend everyone watching that clip. It's all over TikTok. Um, but yeah, like I just think my whole point to that was she already knows at such a young age, and it's probably going to be a natural theme in her life just by situation. um that like it's going to be her battles are going to come from having to prove herself, as most nepo babies have to. um and that's why I do think a lot of nepo babies are some, I know that sometimes they get the rep of course it's their connections, but I do think we see a handful of nepo babies who work even harder
To
because they got the leg
prove that
up.
they
And
deserve
to
it.
right,
Yeah.
and so I think that's probably, we can all assume, going to be a natural theme of her life, which has
Yeah.
nothing to do with her control of how who she was born to, but um and that's also not to say that she shouldn't make art and shouldn't be
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
follow her
No.
parents' footsteps in that. But I think it's a beautiful thing that she knows it so young. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be helpful to her conquering it, and if that makes sense. Um,
Totally. Totally. And it's in the chart. I mean,
right, like
Saturn opposite Jupiter, fourth and 10th house. Also, Sun conjunct Pluto. It's like a wide orb, they say, but like it's the Sun and Pluto are 10 degrees apart. Pluto's the planet of power. And they're saying that like as Pluto enters Aquarius this year, Aquarians will start to come into power. And so like being born with a Sun Pluto conjunction is sort of like
mm,
you I mean, she was born into power, and then
right.
that's going to be a continued theme in her life. And another cool thing I'm seeing is that Mercury, the planet of communication and like expressing your thoughts, is in the fifth house of self expression. It's Leo's house. Um, but Sagittarius is there in her chart. So that's really fun too. She has the creative energy in her for sure.
That's so funny that you mentioned the communication aspect too. real quick, you just reminded me, and I actually made a note of this. I just almost forgot about it. Jay-Z, there's like an interview that Jay-Z, I'm pretty sure it's with Letterman, and it's Letterman's show of like my next guest is like the Netflix one he did, not like his late night show.
Right, right. I saw that. Yeah.
Jay-Z does a huge, I think
Right.
the shows are like an hour long, maybe more.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's a big one on Jay-Z. And Jay-Z's like, my daughter continues to like shock me with her maturity and the way she communicates. He was like the other day, I'm taking her to school, which like immediately I was like, Jay-Z takes her to school. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that family's so grounded, such grounded
I wonder what
billionaires.
school she goes to because I used to teach like famous kids out here in
That's
LA.
right.
Anyway.
That's right. Shouts out to the Tatums.
So
Sorry.
shocked. Yeah.
um but yeah, he's talking about, the Blue's asking him a bunch of questions, he's saying, and he got a little short with her and was like, come on, we gotta go to school. You got to stop asking me questions, get in the car, let's go. And then as he's driving her, he's like, I hear this little voice from the back seat that's like, Daddy. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, earlier when you told me to stop asking questions and get in the car because we're running late. And he's like, yeah. She's like, I didn't really appreciate that. Or like says like, I didn't really like how you spoke to me in that tone. Nice and calm, he said. He was like, I wanted to cry. He was like, that was the most beautiful thing she's ever said to me.
Oh
Like,
my God. And so
he was like, my
Sagittarius,
kids use
honest
their
and blunt,
words.
but like,
Yeah.
yeah, but like
She was just immediately like,
so
hey,
in a calm
check
Capricorn
yourself.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. And her
And the word
calm, like,
maturity is so Capricorn. The fact that he said that, I love that. Like as
it's
an
fun. I'm
11-year
pretty
old,
sure
that
that's
she's
what he says. Like,
yeah.
you can also watch that clip on TikTok, or if you have access to that Letterman show still. But yeah,
Yeah.
I remember I watched that interview way back in the day, but we got reminded of that clip when Blue Ivy was like all over TikTok. Um, and real quick too, there's a part in Renaissance where Beyonce's talking about cutting certain songs, and Diva is like one of the songs she's talking about cutting, and Blue Ivy's just sort of like in the room as she's having this meeting with like choreographers and people who are ahead of the tour, and Blue Ivy is like, "You can't cut those songs." Like she's immediately kind of like almost begging Beyonce, like,
Oh.
"Mom," like, and then Beyonce also very calmly uses her words too. She's like, "Blue, baby, like." I you need to relax. You need to calm down. You need to reel it in or whatever. And it's kind of like funny because people in the comments are like Blue being absolutely respectful and patient. Beyonce being like, whoa, you're out of line. Like it was just a cute moment with both of them. Then the movie, it's so cute because Beyonce's the producer of this. Her word
Yeah.
is law. Like there's no clip that's coming out of this movie that she hasn't
She
approved.
didn't approve.
It
Yeah.
immediately cuts to her doing Diva.
Oh my
On stage.
God. Oh,
And
that's
like her being
cute. Good
like, at the end of the
editing.
day, I'm still a mother at heart and my baby girl.
Aw.
And like, it was so funny because so many people on TikTok were like, oh, so we have Blue to thank for Diva staying in the set list. It was just really funny.
Cute.
So yeah, she's clearly is so, has a real relationship with Beyonce and Jay-Z, even just from like, I feel like small clips where they have whatever parenting they're doing is fucking phenomenal. That little girl feels comfortable and safe to be direct and honest with them, which I think a lot of kids don't. I think
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
you're fearful of being honest, and so like clearly their dynamic is working for them. That's like you could definitely read that, but
Yeah.
also it's so fun to hear from her chart how honesty is, and communication. Just it's interesting.
Absolutely. Mercury and Sag is probably the most like well spoken. Well, Gemini too, but Sag
Right.
is like it's more toward the end of the zodiac, so there's even that larger level of like broad scope maturity.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I wonder what it's like to have a chart like this with planets all over the chart. Like, there's very few charts
She
that I
is,
see like this.
yeah,
Like, very
all over the
dynamic.
place.
Shout out to Demery's Laddick. She has a chart like this where there's like planets in all
Demery.
different like houses all across the board. I find it a lot more difficult to like interpret.
Well,
Um,
and that's so funny to hear that Demery's chart is like similar to that. Demery is maybe one of the most
she's a
empathetic,
dynamic person that, yeah,
understanding. Like, I feel like, not to say this about Demery, like I could murder someone and talk about it with Demery, and she would like, as she's she's like being so empathetic and understanding and warm as she's driving me to the police station to do the right
she's
thing, of
like
course.
rub your back on.
As she's like, we're gonna call 911.
Yeah.
Um, because you need to go in jail. But like, what's, she is so, it's always so interesting to learn how many dynamic charts are some of like the best, most gentle humans. And
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if it's because they like, they just kind of do understand, even if they themselves can't personally understand. It's almost like they have a thumb in every sort of
Yeah,
understanding a little bit.
totally.
Which is like, I know that's like a quality of like Pisces as a sign,
I was gonna say that too. My brain was going there, but it's different.
but
Yeah,
there's something about actually having placements in so many. Yeah. That
yeah,
really
it's
like,
interesting.
I think Pisces as a sign is dynamic, but
Yeah,
there's something about a dynamic chart because
yeah.
even Pisces can be unbalanced and can pummel that. It can pummel thou. Um,
I
we
know.
digress.
Pisces gets overwhelmed by
God,
containing
so
multitudes. It's
easily.
like, well, maybe I should just escape.
Maybe I should blow it all up.
Yeah.
Jesus. Anyway. Back to Blue Ivy, of course.
Oh, right.
But yeah, it's really interesting to see a chart that what I presume is like, this is more dynamic than me. And I don't even mean that as a slight, like, I think I can have a dynamic way of processing and thinking as a Pisces, but like, to actually have so many, like, Jesus, is she
I
at war with
know.
herself or is she at peace? It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. There's a lot of oppositions and squares, like a lot of red lines, but there's also a lot of trines and sextiles, the blue harmonious lines. So I think, and they say that you want an equal level of challenge and turmoil in order to like overcome things and be a strong person, but also ease is good too. Planets getting along. So yeah,
Right.
I bet it's an awesome chart. The other thing, the last thing I feel like I need to note is that the North Node, which is the like symbol that looks like the testes, I think I've said before, is in the fifth house. And that would make the South Node in the 11th. But like the North Node is like what your soul's journey is in this lifetime. So it's like not normally like she has Mercury in the fifth house, so there is that element of like wanting to express, but the North Node makes it like a soul mission that might not come totally naturally to her in certain ways. Maybe it's because like she comes from this really powerful family and the fifth
Mhm.
house is so much about authentic self-expression and like your authentic identity separate from anyone
Right.
else. So that's interesting
That's
too.
interesting to hear too, because that's also something. Last thing I'll say about Renaissance. God, I'm obsessed. But
Yeah.
that is something that Beyonce says in the movie as well. Of like, you know, I earned my spot on that stage. Like, I did not come from connections, and not, like, she herself came from a very different background than Blue Ivy because of Beyonce's hard work. Like, the life she's created for Blue Ivy
Right.
is not what she came from because of how successful she
Yeah,
became.
yeah.
Um and but I think that's also what I want to elaborate a little more on too, in the way that she's going to have her challenges of always being attached to Beyonce and Jay-Z in that way, and coming from a life of extreme privilege in the way she's, they're them.
Yeah.
um but I think because Jay-Z and Beyonce, it's almost like because they didn't come from that lifestyle, I feel like that's why it was like, Blue, if you want to get on stage, you can't just come out and wave to the people. Like, you're gonna work for your spot on that stage. Everyone works for a spot on this stage.
Right, right.
Beyonce is still, even though I know that like they're billionaires now, but it's like, if there's ever a billionaire that's gonna teach a work ethic, it's gonna be Beyonce, my God,
Virgo
and
Sun, Scorpio Moon.
I
Hello.
think that's going to be Blue Ivy's probably own challenge, but I do think she's in great hands of
Totally. It
making sure
sounds like
she
it.
extra understands that. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm rooting for her.
Me too. Me too. I
We
can't
love
wait
you,
to
Blue
watch the
Ivy.
movie.
We're so proud of you. You crushed it.
For real.
She really crushed it. Um,
How cool.
and with that, Heather, shall we let the folks know what's going on this week?
Yes. Yes, yes.
This is Cappy time.
Happy time. We have an exciting new moon in Capricorn on January 11th that all the astrologers sound a little extra excited about. Um,
Mm.
I think because it's the first new moon of the year and it's in Capricorn, which is sort of a overachieving sign. But even without that, it's forming a trine to Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus has been moving through Taurus. It's the planet of like sudden insights, chaos, things being shaken up to allow for more freedom. And this new moon is going to form a trine to it. So it could be like, I don't know, fresh inspiration on where you want to go career wise long term with Capricorn stuff. Like, I kind of see it as Uranus is bringing the like lightning bolt idea to the Capricorn goal setting process or long-term vision. It's a good day for like planning long term,
Yeah.
even like 10 years down the line, like what do I want to do with my life type of stuff.
Okay.
Then on the 12th, Mars in Capricorn, which Mars is very happy in Capricorn, is going to trine Jupiter in Taurus, which is also very beneficial and exciting because, Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion. And Mars is the planet of, putting your masculine assertion and drive and fieriness to things. So Mars forming this harmonious aspect to Jupiter and Taurus is like a double whammy after this new moon in Capricorn of like I have inertia and energy to work hard on the things that I want to have. And in
Love that.
in the Astro Dienst, which I think is the best monthly
I got my
horoscope.
newsletter. Yeah, I
Yes,
got
yes.
mine.
So in their newsletter, I wrote it down because it got me excited. They say that this new moon in Cap with this Mars trining Jupiter, that things that previously seemed unthinkable could be possible. And I loved how they said that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on January 14th, Mercury enters Capricorn, and we're going to have a lot of planets in Capricorn until like early February.
Wow.
So we're really getting into the cap.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's
It's
a time of responsibility, authority, hard
necessary.
work. It's
The start
necessary.
of a new year. I get it if people want that to I think that the cap energy still makes sense weirdly for the man-made new year. Um even if in terms of like thinking about long-term goals, getting ready to execute long-term goals. Um but also there is something about a new year that I think with the calendar, I mean, and just getting past this holiday that we can't help but an energy of sort of also, yeah, there, I don't
It's
know.
like the collective subconscious or however you want
Yes.
to put it is we attribute this time as special, therefore it is, like
Right.
it's
Right.
yeah.
Thank you. I literally, Heather, I was like, I am not articulating what I'm trying to say.
No, I knew what you
Took
meant.
the words right out of my sloppy doppy mouth. Yeah, no, it's an exciting time. The awakening is upon us. Capricorn is a very getting grounded, getting motivated, getting forward time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I always feel,
I want to
I
embrace
mean,
it.
it usually brings a hardship or two, but overall, I think it's good energy
I would agree.
for me personally, if the listeners
Hard
care.
work and groundedness is usually one of my weaknesses, but
Me too.
being
Yeah, that's
seeing
why.
of it makes it more exciting to embrace, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
How I can
Yeah.
look at it, just because it's not my strongest suit doesn't mean I can't tap into it.
Exactly.
And that goes for all of
Exactly.
us, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Tap into your cap. The cap claps back.
The cap claps back.
Jesus.
Don't be
Um
a cap who gives people a clap.
uh,
Oh
I was gonna say yeah, but I'm gonna stop.
no.
I'm like, we'll keep going, we'll keep going, we'll keep going.
Just-
It's just 2 minutes of that.
yeah.
Um, oh, I love you so much, Heather.
I love you.
Love you, listeners. Happy to have you back. Happy New Year. Let's get these fucking 2024s, shall we? Let's just get them.
Yes. Year of the
Get those
Dragon.
2024s. Yes, happy year of the dragon to all. Um, look into it. Look into the Chinese New Year, what it means, the year of the dragon. We'll talk about it more on the next one. Probably should
Yeah,
have done
we
that on
should.
this one. I just forgot. Um, but it's an exciting year. It's full of abundance and
New heights.
new
I
heights, new
see.
energy, fresh, combustive, exciting energy. Good stuff. Yeah, happy to be back. We've got infinite abundance along the way, and we have it right now.
Yes, always and forever. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.